wedding is over and we have this beautiful bouquet and we want some way to save it. What can we do with it? Well, we're here at Bronner's and trying to think of how can we make this a keepsake. Well, today we're going to put our bridal bouquet into a wreath, and they have these beautiful picture frames. So we're going to take our wreath, our bouquet apart, and we're going to put it into the wreath, but we also need something to use as another type of focus for it. They have these beautiful arched frames for weddings, and you can slide your wedding photo inside, and then it has a saying on it. It says, "From this day forward, I do." And then you get to slip in your beautiful wedding photo. So the first thing we're going to do is we wired this right into, it's actually, we just tied it with fishing line and secured it to the wreath. And then we're going to add some lights. So here at Bronner's, they have these LED battery lights. We're going to use this one. This is a 36 LED lights. It takes 3C batteries. They also have a timer on them, so you can set that. But not only that, you can also turn it to different types of movement if you like. I'm just going to set it to solid, and we're going to put that in there because I think that'll be really cool and interesting to add in there. So I'm going to set the bouquet off to the side for a minute, and we're going to wind these lights in. The wreath will be hanging on the wall, so I am going to just tuck this behind the frame for now so that it's easy access to you when you want to turn it on and off, or you need to change a battery and that. And I'm just going to actually just loosely kind of twine my lights through here. It's a good idea to kind of move in and out a bit. Don't just do them all into the center of the wreath. You want to kind of move to the outside and the inside a little bit, so it adds a good flow of light through your wreath. And that. And I think this would be really pretty too if you did do some motion with it. Would add like a nice little bit of movement through there. So we'll get that all on. It's nice because these are wired, so when you're done you can just twist the wire around at the end, and that just kind of holds on there for you like that. Okay. All right. And then another thing about this pretty little bouquet is we wrapped the bouquet with some beautiful beading that also came from Bronner's. So we're going to add that to this wreath as well. But I'm going to set that aside for just a minute. Wind that back in. And so we're going to pull the bouquet apart. So this bouquet, I'm going to take this ribbon that it was banded with, we're going to take that off and unband it. We'll just set that aside, and then we're going to clip the wire off that the bouquet was banded with as well. And then I'm going to just kind of separate this bouquet out a bit. And so what's going to happen is when we place this into the wreath, your bouquet is actually going to dry into the wreath, so now that you'll have a keepsake. One of the things that works well is if you kind of if you do groupings, the placement of them, it just is focally, it is better, it creates a better focal point to group them together. So I'm just going to gather some of the pieces of the bouquet, and we're going to wire those in. And I have some covered wire here. You can use chenille stems or pipe cleaner if that's what you have at home. There's binding wire people have, but I'm just going to use some florist wire. You can get this, it's a covered wire, you can get it at any craft supply store, Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, places like that. So I'm going to just start with a piece like this, and I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to come underneath the wreath. And you can see I'm underneath of it. I'm going to come right through and on both sides of the wreath. I'm going to come through and I'm going to twist tie it like you do a bread tie. Just twist tie it right on. And then it's kind of grouped in there. I have a little bit of the greenery. I have a little bit of the roses and this little flower here, this astrantia. And I have, I'm going to cut the excess wire off that. And I'm going to cut a little bit of this excess stem off too. that, set that down. And I'm just going to keep gathering a few groupings, and we're just going to group around a bit, and that to make a display. Okay. We're just going to layer it together. The reason you want to do that, for one thing, is that as these dry, they're also going to shrink in a little bit. So if they're together a little bit, you won't have such big holes or gaps if you do too many spaces. So it'll look like it's like you planned it to be this way. It has a little bit more of a design aspect. It's a little more clustered. I think that's a better way to say it. All right, I'm going to snip that out. Again, I'm just gathering and twisting. Cut those extra stems off. I'm just keep going. I'm gonna just keep going around in a circle, binding it around together. And then once you have it twisted on, you can move it around a little bit if you want to place it just a little bit better. Okay. Grab a few more pieces. Boy, this is going to be really pretty on someone's wall. Can you imagine being able to keep this? And that so often you're like, what do I do with these bouquets afterwards? I want to keep them, but they just dry and shrivel up and just throw them away. Okay. Go. A little peony, spray rolls, a little more thistle. Each time I'm going underneath the wreath onto each side of it. I'm always on each side, coming up. And all I'm doing is twisting, like I said, just kind of like how you twist a rug tie. Just twisting around it. You feel like it's tight enough, and then I just cut that off. Cut these excess stems. They don't have to be long. A little bit of a trick with this one. I'm going to actually do it the opposite way so that my stems aren't showing so much. See how the flowers end here? I'm actually going to tuck this one this way so that flowers are at each end for you. So it's going to go the same way. I'm just going to overlap a little bit on that other piece. Oops, the table just moved. Come back over. Really just laying over the top of that last piece I just tied on. Tying that back in there. Twisting. Tying in there. Cut those off. The nice thing too is this beautiful wreath that you can also get here at Bronner's is all wired. So these little branches you can kind of tuck into, like if you feel like a little bit too much of your stem is showing, you can bend those around, which is great. So I attached the flowers, so I'm going to take some of the ribbon first, and then I'll hook that beading in. So I'm going to just take some of this ribbon, and I'm just going to make a few loops. Not, I get not everyone can make a bow, but you might be able to just make a few loops. So you can just do like a little bit of a loop. Take a wire. I'm going to cut my wire in half because I don't feel like I need a whole wire. And I'm just going to put my finger around the wire, pull it together, and do just like a little twist on there. And then I'm going to just wire that to my wreath. go. We'll wire that through there. And hook that on. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes it's nice when it's not just perfectly even. And that. So you have a little ribbon there. You can take this, and if you don't want to wire it, you could even take the ribbon and just tie it even to the branch. If wiring isn't your skill at all, you could actually just take it and tie it and knot it. That's something a little bit easier for you, and then it kind of twists in. You can take it and loop it around the little branch this way with it. So it kind of flows in that way. You can add more ribbon around this a little bit too, so you can get a little on the other side. Just gonna take a couple loops again up here at the top. And up here at the top like this a little bit. I'm going to add a wire to this one. I want to secure this a little bit. And I'm just going to catch a couple branches again. Wire that on. Then I have this little bit of a tail. Again, how I tied that other piece on there. You can just take this and just tie this piece. This short piece to this little knot here. Just another little knotted piece like that, and then again these beautiful beads that were banded on the bouquet that were here, and we're gonna just tie those in too. Oh my gosh, how pretty are these? I love them. I kind of want these to dangle, and I'm gonna actually take these, and there's so much wire in these branchy pieces. I'm actually just catching one of these branches and I'm twisting the wire around it, and I'm actually going to fold that evergreen piece right around it, and it's stable. Like you pull on it, it's not going to come off. Twist around this and do something like that. So how about that for a little quick keepsake bouquet?